Listen, folks, if you're into Hapkido, this video is going to blow your mind. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We're diving deep into whether Hapkido can actually save your ass in a real fight today. You know, with all these modern combat sports out there. It's time to ask, is Hapkido keeping up, or is it turning into some kind of martial arts dinosaur? Stick around because the answers might just shock the hell out of you. It's entirely possible we're about to shatter some illusions here. Alright, let's kick this off by talking about where Hapkido came from. You know, it's crazy, man. This art was born out of some serious street shit. We're talking Korea post-World War II. It wasn't about winning tournaments or looking cool. It was about staying alive in a rough world. Now, check this out. Hapkido's got this wild mix of joint locks, throws, and strikes. It's like someone took judo, taekwondo, and aikido, threw them in a blender, and hit puree. The idea was to have an answer for any kind of attack, but, even back then, people were calling bullshit on some of the moves. You gotta wonder, right? Let's break down what makes Hapkido, well, Hapkido. First off, you've got these insane joint locks. I'm talking wrist locks that'll make you cry for your mama. Then there's the throws. Some of this stuff looks like it could send a guy to the moon. And don't even get me started on the kicks. These dudes are spinning like ballerinas with bad attitudes. But here's where it gets tricky. A lot of these moves, man, they look like they belong in a Jackie Chan movie. You've got guys doing these elaborate setups and you're thinking, there's no way this works in a real fight. And that's where the whole McDojo thing comes in. You know, those places that are more about selling belts than teaching you how to actually defend yourself. Now, let's address the elephant in the room, the whole McDojo situation. You know what I'm talking about, right? Those places where you walk in, hand over your credit card, and walk out with a black belt. It's like the fast food of martial arts. And it's giving Hapkido a bad name. But listen, it's not all bullshit. When Hapkido is trained right, with real resistance and pressure testing, some of this stuff can be legit. The problem is, a lot of schools are stuck in this traditional mindset. They're more concerned with preserving the art than making sure it actually works when shit hits the fan. That's crazy, man. So here we are in 2025, and Hapkido's at a crossroads. You've got MMA, BJJ, Muay Thai, all these combat sports that have proven themselves in the ring. And then you've got Hapkido still doing its thing. But is it keeping up? That's the million-dollar question, folks. Some Hapkido schools are waking up and smelling the coffee. They're bringing in elements from other martial arts, adding more sparring, making things more realistic. But others, man, they're still stuck in the past, teaching techniques that look cool but might get you killed in a real fight. It's like they're preparing for a fight that doesn't exist anymore, you know? All right, let's get to the meat and potatoes. How does Hapkido stack up against modern combat sports? I've got to tell you, it's not always pretty. You take one of these elaborate Hapkido joint locks and try it on a trained BJJ guy. Good luck with that. It's like bringing a knife to a gunfight, except the knife is made of rubber. But it's not all doom and gloom. Some Hapkido techniques, when stripped down and adapted, can be effective. The problem is, a lot of Hapkido training doesn't prepare you for a resisting opponent who's trying to take your head off. It's one thing to do a fancy wrist lock on a compliant partner. It's a whole other ball game when you're dealing with an aggressive attacker. That's when you really see what works and what's just, you know, fancy dancing. Now, I'm not just pulling this out of my ass. I've talked to a bunch of experts about this. MMA fighters, traditional martial artists, self-defense instructors, and let me tell you, opinions are all over the place. Some guys think Hapkido is complete bullshit, others see value in it. One thing most of them agree on, though, is that Hapkido needs to evolve. It's got some good ideas, but the training methods are often stuck in the past. It's like they're preparing for a fight that doesn't exist anymore. The world's changed, man. The way people fight has changed. Hapkido needs to keep up, or it's going to be left in the dust. It's entirely possible that with the right updates, this art could be a real contender. So where does Hapkido go from here? It's at a crossroads, man. Some schools are adapting, bringing in elements from other martial arts, focusing more on practical application. They're keeping the core principles of Hapkido, but updating the delivery system. And you know what? That stuff can be pretty effective. It's like Hapkido 2.0. You know what I mean? Now, here's something we got to consider. Not everyone's training to be a UFC champion. For a lot of people, Hapkido offers more than just fighting skills. It's about discipline, fitness, self-confidence, and some of those traditional techniques, they might not work in the cage, but they could save your ass in a street situation. That's crazy to think about, right? So, is Hapkido's legacy fading? Maybe. but I think it's more accurate to say it's changing. The Hapkido of the future might look different from what we see today. It's gonna have to if it wants to stay relevant. But the core ideas, using an opponent's energy against them, having a diverse skill set, that stuff's timeless. It's entirely possible we're watching the evolution of a martial art right before our eyes. Listen, at the end of the day, Hapkido's fate is in the hands of its practitioners. It's up to them to take what works, ditch what doesn't, and keep evolving. Whether it becomes a relic or remains a relevant martial art, that's going to depend on their willingness to adapt. One thing's for sure though, the martial arts world is always changing, and Hapkido's going to have to change with it. That's just the way it is, man. To support the channel, comment, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. To receive notifications about future content, select the post notification bell. If you want to stay with me, choose a video on your screen and we will see you there. Thank you.